the one that stands out in my mind would be, I'll be Pruitt. In the Pruitt store.
In the store.
They were in the old town. They had moved up here and had their store up here. And it was a meeting place for everybody, I guess, because at that time there wasn't anything up here to speak of once they got moved up here.
Right.
And you could go in there, you could get you a sandwich, you could get you a drink, you could get groceries or whatever. But all feeds, yeah, I mean, they sold it all. Albie had a milk route. He hauled milk. And he's the only outside of Dad probably, he was the only person I ever saw that could pick up two cans of milk in each arm and put them up in the truck. Well, and he'd carry them up out of a hollow where it was a spring fed, where they was keeping.
Now, your dad's first name before
George.
George Kirkwood. Mm-hmm. I got you. Okay. George Kirkwood. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to make sure we get that on film because we talked about the Kirkwoods, and I'll make sure that I got that. Albie Pruitt's store when I was a kid, that year before last.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I would get knee-high orange, new grape, did have RC.
Yeah.
RC Cola. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's some of the others they had? That's the main thing.
Grape knee-high, you named that
one.
Yeah,
grape
knee-high, you named that one. Yeah. Dr. Pepper is probably the next popular one.
Yeah. But then they had the ice cream.
They had ice cream. Mm-hmm.
Now, did they have, I've forgotten when this all came in, but did they have the water bubbling in there or just ice in the box?
Well, probably down in the old town they had the ice in the box, I'm assuming, because I don't remember that one.
But when they got real modern.
They got modern, they had a soda fountain and everything up here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I remember opening up the lid.
Yeah.
And you hear all the bubble and it kept moving that water. And it kept all this, and of course back then it was a pop.
Yeah, it was soda pop.
Yeah, soda pop. And give me a pop, and I want soda. What kind of pop you want? And I remember we talked to our family and said, let's go down and get in the cart and a pop. Mm-hmm. Of course, you say pop to kids now, they don't have any idea what you're talking about.
No, they have no clue.
What are some colloquialisms? Colloquialisms that came out of Lead Hill. Now, my mom and dad, here are some of my dad. He was just out there raring in the function.
Yeah.
Now, what does raring in the function mean, though?
Having a fit.
He's having a fit. How about this one? She's in there just in the kitchen, just messing and a gumming.
Yeah, making a big mess.
Making a big mess in the kitchen.
She's probably cooking dinner.
If somebody was real stingy, he was tighter than Dick's hat band. I don't know who Dick was, but he must have been tight, and the hat band was probably tight.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And if something was real good, boy, that's a chawed rosin.
Now that one I hadn't heard.
Chawed rosin would be like the stuff.
Tar.
Yeah, right. That came off the trees. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to say, when we moved up here, the closeness of the people, because we were up here by ourselves, so everybody had to rely on everybody else for whatever needs that we had. You didn't go to town very often. You might have went once a week if you were lucky. The roads were dirt, so you didn't go very often. People that impacted you, I'll have to say Edna Magnus was probably one of them because she was a little bitty lady. She wrote the news articles for the Harrison Daily Times, and she would go around to everybody's house wanting the news that she could get to put in the newspaper.
Yeah. Edna Magnus.
Edna Magnus. That was Bill and Clyde's mother. And she was the town reporter, I guess you'd call it. She reported on everything that went on in town. So if you could go back and find all of her articles that she wrote for the newspaper, you might learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That would be one. As far as impacting my life, I don't know that I can say there's any one person. It was just a combination of all the people that we were associated with, that we encountered on a daily basis.
I'm a preacher. I've been preaching for about 50 years. And one thing I have taught when I preach is the major foundation of any relationship is need. Mm-hmm. And what you just said, when you came up here, folks on top of this hill really needed one another. Mm-hmm. And so what we've lost today in our culture is people don't need anybody. they say.
They don't think.
They don't think they need anybody. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the greater the need, the greater the relationship. And so that's what you're saying when you came up here, the need was great.
Yeah, and it possibly was that great down there, but like I said, I was only 5 when we moved up here, so I don't have any recollection of things before that time, other than 1 or 2 things. But you have to know your neighbors. I mean, doors are not locked, or weren't locked. We do lock them nowadays, because you got a lot more people here now. But back then, you could come and go in anybody's house and wouldn't think nothing about it. And they wouldn't, you didn't invade their privacy or anything, but you were welcome in their home at any time.
Yeah. You remember when they started moving the cemetery?
Yeah. They brought people in to do that. We started opening graves, taking things out, putting them in boxes and stuff to move them to the new cemetery. Ordinary day, it was just digging up whatever they could find, putting it in a box and moving it. They came across one that was petrified. The body itself was petrified. The torso part of the body was petrified.
Hadn't changed at all.
Well, it had changed, but it was just solid. It wasn't, there was nothing there, but it was just a solid form in the grave. They left it, it was a big tourist attraction, I guess you'd call it, for a while. They had to leave it till they could get a box built big enough to put it in.
Do you know who it was?
Yeah, you would ask me that, wouldn't you? Yes, I know who it is, but I can't tell you right at the moment. It was a Miller, I think. I can look it up.
A lady or a man?
It was a lady.
Yeah.
She was a big lady, a pretty good sized lady. And everybody had to come and see this petrified body. That was one. There was another one that had a casket that had a glass case in it. I don't remember seeing it. It had a glass window in the top of it.
Yes.
And the body was perfect. It was still visible. But somebody broke the glass.
And that was all over then.
With the dust.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they went to move it, they broke it. I don't know who that one was. But that was one thing. My first year at school, they were in the process of building the school that's down here now. They didn't have them finished when I started school. So we went the first 6 months, or first semester, I guess it was, in the Christian church, the old Christian church, not what one's there now, but the old Christian church. They put a curtain down the middle. The first grade was on this side. The 6th grade was over here on this side. And we stayed there till they got the school completed, and then we finally moved on up to the school later that year. I don't know how many months we was there, but it wasn't there over 2 months probably, maybe 3 at the most.
Now remember, you said the first grade's on one side and the 6th grade's on the other.
They put a sheet down the middle of the church, in the pews, between the pews.
I got you. Where are all the other grades?
Most of them were already in the school, because they had a lot of it
in the new school.
In the new school, or the old school. There was one or the other, but they were in the process of moving to the new school. So a lot of the classrooms were already done, but it just so happened the grade school wasn't done. Some of them were out. They went to different churches. They had the classes scattered in different places. But that's where I was at, was in the Christian church, and the 6th grade was in
Christian church down here across the road from the new school.
Yeah, the old building.
Yeah, across from the Rock House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faced the other direction at that time.
Yeah. What would you say to the new generation coming after us that you have learned in your life you want to pass on?
I guess, to be honest, be truthful, work hard at whatever you do. Don't go into a job expecting something at it. Go into a job expecting what you can do for it and how well you can perform that job. The love of your family, love of your God, your country. These things we are losing in this day and time. The respect of other people we're losing.
Right.
So these are things I would like to see come back. The morality. What would any local person like to see? They'd like to see more compassion, more friendliness toward other people. Hopefully, we've tried to inspire that into some of our young people or families and what have you. But sometimes it don't take, sometimes it does. But they need to realize that how they treat other people is what's going to make a difference in this world.
What you just said can be summed up in really one word, and that's integrity. What we believe about ourselves tells what we believe about God. If we don't believe in God, then we don't believe we're worthwhile. And if we don't believe in ourselves and love ourselves and respect ourselves, we're not going to respect other people in our life. So it comes around to our relationship with our God, as Marilyn has said. And here we are today in Lead Hill, Arkansas, with Doug, that's the man with a hat on, Doug Richardson and Marilyn, and thank you all so much for the time we spent. I've had fun. You had fun, Doug? I have. It's been a good time.
Yeah.
And Marilyn, you've done real well, and
Well,
I'm proud
you.
of you. And it's a great time. Appreciate John and Carolyn Davidson being here today. And we just thank you for watching the video. May God work in your life and bless your life.